What's good, everybody? It's the Klein with Cap Show. We got the Eastern Conference Finals. Shout out to my Indiana Pacers getting the job done. Even though I thought they'd lose to the Knicks in 7 games, I knew it would go 7 games. But shout out to the Indiana Pacers. They play great together. They play as a role team. They know their role. Even though I think Tyrese Halliburton has to step up. If they want to beat the Celtics in 7 games, Tyrese Halliburton has to score 25 plus points a game. He's Indiana Pacers' best player, pound for pound, and I understand dealing with injuries, stuff like that, but overall, Tyrese Halliburton's going to have to come out and say, look, dude, I'm going to have to man up and score and go crazy here. We're playing against Tatum. We're playing against Jaylen Brown. We're playing against Drew Holiday. So we look at the Boston Celtics and realize, yes, they have the best roster yet left in the NBA right now. Even out of the Western Conference, they have the best roster overall from head to toe, pound for pound. In the Celtics, it's easy to get there. I mean, they beat a washed up Miami team with Jimmy Butler out. He was gone. They won in 5. And they beat a young Cleveland Cavaliers team with Mitchell, and he really was hurt towards the end of that series. So, like, the Celtics, easy walk here. They have all the rest in the world, and I think if the Boston Celtics end up losing this series against the Pacers, I do think the Celtics are done. I think they're going to break up the team. They're going to say, hey, that's it, dude. I think Jaylen Brown's going to want to request a trade because it's like if Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, if they both score 30-plus points a game, really, it's Boston's championship to win, right? It's Boston's this, Boston that, but I've seen Boston play all year, and the biggest thing with Boston Celtics is their inconsistency. They just don't show up at times, and really, it's just, that's what it is. And some nights, Tatum's going to ball out and give you 35, 40 points a game, and then other nights, he's going to put up 18, 19 points, and then Jaylen Brown, same thing. He's going to put up 30 to 40 points, and if not, he's going to be in the low teens, and it's just like, really, man? It's like, how are these guys like this? I think if Tatum and Jaylen Brown finally find some mojo, I think they're going to beat the Pacers, but right now, I'm leaning more towards my Indiana Pacers. I really am. I think it's going to go 7 games. I think the Pacers really match up nice against the Boston Celtics. I mean, you have like TJ McConnell coming off the bench, the heart and soul, the guy that's going to run the extra mile in practice, go the extra way. Shout out to TJ McConnell. And then you have other players like Obi Toppin, which I do think the Pacers need to play him more. I think Toppin should get 30 plus minutes a game from here on out. I mean, the athletic ability that the Pacers need, he brings that ability. I think he's going to match up even against Jaylen Brown or Drew Holiday, somebody in that sort. But, guys like that need to step up. But the X factor for the Pacers, and it's been like this all season, it's Miles Turner. Miles Turner can literally score 25 plus points and 20 boards a game if he really played angry. But that's not who Miles Turner is. Miles Turner plays soft. He's a soft type of player. He would not be a great player back in the 80s and 90s. We know that. I just think for Miles Turner, if he shows out here and steps up and says, you know what, I'm going to become a man here. I'm going to step up and start to play bully ball. That's what he needs to do. You're going against Al Horford, who's washed up. Porzingis is still hurt. I think this is Miles Turner time to really turn it up here. Be in the high 30s. Put up 30 a game. 30 points. Now, you don't even need to do that. I'm saying 20 points, 20 plus boards a game for Miles Turner. That's what I want to see. But Miles Turner isn't that type of player. I hope he changes it around. But I think he's the X factor. If Miles Turner does these things that I'm telling you, I think the Pacers win in 6 or 7 games against the Celtics. I really do. That's the difference here. I'm not worried about the role players for the Pacers. They're going to do their thing. Andrew coming off the bench. But like I said, the main player for the Pacers is Miles Turner. Which one's going to show up? Is he going to get the extra boards? Is he going to get the extra possessions? Are the role players going to come in like they did against the Knicks and hit big threes after big threes? And I think I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about Miles Turner and obviously Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton, I don't understand. Some games he shows out, like Game 7 against the Knicks, that's the guy I want to see every single night from here on out. You want the ball. You want it late in the shot clock. I'm going to create a shot with 5 seconds to go in the shot clock, and I'm going to get up a shot, even if it's contested, and I'm still going to hit it. That's how you have to think if you're the Pacers here. That's how you're going to have to beat Boston. Getting these extra possessions, getting the extra 3 up. Like, that's how you're going to beat Boston. But right now, obviously, Boston's a favorite. Boston matches up well against the Pacers, and I think really the X factor player isn't Tatum or Jaylen Brown, it's Derek White. I think Derek White, if he's going to hit 5 threes a game for the Celtics, we can pretty much say, Boston, even though I said Boston's not going to win it all, we can really say that Boston has a great chance of winning the NBA championship this year. He just does. I mean, with Derek White, literally, I miss his hair, but him going bald, he's shooting it like he's Steph Curry-like, right? Obviously not Steph Curry, but I think he models his game somewhat like Steph Curry. He copied Steph Curry and said, man, I need to shoot the ball like Steph Curry, and he does it in the Garden. He always does it in Boston. I just think right now Derek White is that one of those players where it's like, if you're the Pacers, we need to lock him up. We don't want him to shoot threes that are uncontested and get easy buckets there. So Derek White, we need to lock him up. And obviously Tatum. Like, who's going to guard Tatum on the Pacers? Is Tyrese Halliburton going to match up against Tatum? Who's going to match up against Tatum? That's going to be interesting to see, because Tatum, if he puts up 30-plus points a game, then you have Jaylen Brown as well. So, like, those top 3 players for the Celtics, the Pacers need to key in on defense here. I'm not worried about the Pacers' offense. They're going to score. I'm worried about the defense. Who's going to match up against these guys? Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Derek White. Those are the guys that you have to stop. Really. And then Drew Holiday, he's another player coming from Milwaukee, which is a crazy trade. At the time, I was like, that's a great trade. We look at Milwaukee, they got bounced by the Pacers. So shout out to the Pacers. I kind of underestimated my Indiana Pacers. I didn't think they'd win in 7 against the Knicks. Now, the Knicks were banged up, but at the end of the day, the Pacers got it done. They really did, and Tyrese Halliburton's going to have to come out and play like he did in Game 7 in Madison Square Garden. That's what he's going to have to do every single game from here on out. This is the Eastern Conference Finals here. You're literally 4 games away from the NBA Finals, and you're another 4 games, so the Pacers are 8 games away from winning an NBA championship that they've never done. Like, this is crazy, dude. Shout out to Indiana, man. Like, we're making some big waves. Indiana's a basketball state. We breathe basketball. We breathe it as well. So, basketball's everywhere in Indiana. So, I think right now we got Caitlin Clark here in Indy. So, I just think right now this is a big time for Indiana basketball to step up and say, look, we're going against Boston, who's really inconsistent. And I think really the Pacers can take Game 1 tomorrow. They really can. They can take Game 1 and just run with this. Even though they should have took Game 1 against the Knicks back in that series. But, hey, that's history. Here's the right now. And I'm telling you, the Pacers match up great. I can't wait. But like I said, the X-Factor player for the Indiana Pacers is Miles Turner. We're going to have to get boards. We're going to have to be a bully ball here. Throw it in the post sometimes. If he gets double teamed, kick it out to a role player that's going to hit a 3 like Tobin or McConnell. Somebody in that sort. That's what you're going to have to do. I just think right now, Miles Turner's going to have to step up. You go against Al Horford, who's washed up, who's old. Like, go against him. Be hungry. That's what I want to see Miles Turner do. I want to see the Indiana Pacers come out hungry in Game 1 and still Game 1 in Boston. That's my theory. But this series is going to go 7. Absolutely. I cannot wait for this matchup. And then we got the Dallas Mavericks versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is another crazy matchup. And I think the Mavs right now, star-studded, right? We got Anthony Edwards, Baby Jordan. They're calling him the next Jordan-esque. They come back down 20 against the Denver Nuggets in Game 7. The Nuggets won the championship last year. They're looking to repeat, and they're up 20 in the third quarter. And they go on a crazy run. I think it was like 29-3 run in the third quarter to, like, get it within, like, 3 or 4 points, which is crazy. And I knew then, when they came back down, when I saw it, they were down 15, but down 20 points, and they battled back. Minnesota is about that life. And shout out to Mike Conley from Indiana, went to Indiana. I think he won at least 2 state championships in high school in Indiana. Then he went to Ohio State. I wish Mike Conley would have went to IU. Would have been a completely different story. But Mike Conley, future Hall of Famer, still in the NBA, been in the NBA for years upon years. And Mike Conley's a double-double guy. He's going to give you 11 points, 12 points, and he's also going to give you about 12 assists. That's what you want from Mike Conley. He's just a smart IQ point guard, one of your classic point guards that's going to make the right play. Mike Conley isn't dumb. He understands the game of basketball, and I think Mike Conley eventually is going to be coaching one day. That's what I think. Who would have thought out of Mike Conley and Greg Oden when they came out of high school, everybody, especially in Indiana, was saying Greg Oden's going to be this next great thing. He's going to last way longer than Mike Conley in the NBA, but it's vice versa. Greg Oden was out of the NBA, less than 4 years, something like that. Mike Conley's been in the league for years. We're coming up on 15 plus years for Mike Conley. Homage to Mike Conley, and he's not really slowing down. And that's a huge key piece for Minnesota. If they didn't have Mike Conley, they don't win against Denver down 20. Mike Conley came up big when he needed to, made some big passes. That's what you want from a point guard. You don't want him to say, oh, you got to do all this. No, make the right play. That's what Mike Conley does. He's going to make the right play, the smart play, the bounce pass type of play. That's what he's going to do. The open man in the three, that's what Mike Conley's going to do. He's going to throw it out off to Anthony Edwards in transition. That's what he's going to do. That's what Mike Conley does great. And I think right now, Minnesota, they're on it, dude. They're coming back. Karl-Anthony Towns, another big man. It's going to be interesting to see. I think the mismatch here is the big man. I really do. Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert, from Dallas, who's going to guard those guys? That's the thing. I don't think Dallas really has good big men. Now, on the flip side, if the Mavs want to win this series, it's going to, obviously, Luka's going to do his thing, probably average a triple-double. My thing is, it's Kyrie. Kyrie's the X-factor player for the Dallas Mavericks. If Kyrie has a performance like he did back in 2016 NBA Finals against Golden State, putting up 30-plus points a game, in some games he scored 40. I think he had 41 in Game 5 against Golden State, and another 40 in Game 6, and he had 20-some in Game 7, hit the three over Steph to go up 3, and then end up winning it down 3-1. That's the Kyrie that needs to show up against this team in Minnesota. That's what you're going to have to do. Kyrie's going to have to go off. And really his over-under on points has been 24.5. So I think right now, this would be the time to say, hey, you know what? Let's go with the over. I think the over could hit on Kyrie. Kyrie knows that he's going to have to hit some big shots. He's going to have to come down, shoot, create what Kyrie does best. Nobody has handles like Kyrie in the NBA right now. He's on a string. He can cross anybody over. Nobody can guard Kyrie in the open court. We know this. But Kyrie's going to have to make the right plays. He's going to have to, if he gets double teamed, Kyrie knows what to do. I'm saying he's going to have to hit the big threes, the dagger threes. When Minnesota's coming out hot, Kyrie's going to have to come out hot. And I think if I'm Dallas here, in each of one of these games, every single game from here on out, I'm going to Kyrie right away. Not Luka. Luka's going to end up warming up in the game and developing into the second quarter, in the second half. My thing is get Kyrie from the jump. Right in the first quarter, first couple possessions, I want Kyrie to be scoring 10-plus points in the first quarter. That's what you're going to have to do. Kyrie's the X factor. Then you got P.J. Washington, who played out of his mind. Didn't really have the best season, coming this season, but really come the playoff time, P.J. Washington's really, surprised me. I'm like, dang, P.J. Washington's hitting big threes, ends up getting fouled late in the Game 7 or Game 6 game against OKC. Just made some huge plays that the Dallas Mavericks need. But for Dallas Mavericks to beat Minnesota, they're going to have to hit the dagger threes. They're going to have to come up big. Kyrie's going to have to score 30-plus points a game. Obviously, Luka, we know what he's going to do. He's going to score 30. He's going to get 10, 15 boards, 10 assists. But I'm telling you right now, Kyrie Irving is the X factor because we will know what Minnesota's about. Anthony Edwards is going to get his. He's going to get 30 to 40 a game because nobody's going to guard Anthony Edwards on Dallas. We know that. Same thing with Luka and Kyrie. I'm just worried about Karl-Anthony Towns. I think Karl-Anthony Towns needs to have a legendary game out of all these games against the Mavericks. I mean, this would be the time to do it. The Dallas Mavericks don't have a dominant big man. They don't. And you have Rudy Gobert, which he's a decent big man, but come on, he's not that best big man. But Karl-Anthony Towns, he's the X factor in this series. Why? Because he's a mismatch. I think Karl-Anthony Towns, he needs to come in and score 20-plus points a game and get 20-plus boards a game. That's what you're going to have to do. If Karl-Anthony Towns does that, Minnesota wins this series in 6 games. I'm telling you right now, and we're looking at Minnesota in the NBA Finals. That's crazy, right? Who would have thought this at the beginning of the year? Nobody. And I don't even think Minnesota fans thought, hey, our team's going to be in the NBA Finals this year. I don't think that really crossed their mind. I really don't. Even though they do have Anthony Edwards, a.k.a. the baby Jordan. Let's see it. I'm telling you, he has the talent, yes. But it's crazy. Everybody just hypes everybody up to this hey, they're going to be better than Jordan and LeBron. It's like, dude, LeBron has the most points all time, dude. Pump the brakes here. This dude's still kind of a rookie in the league right now. But I love Anthony Edwards. I love what he brings to the table. I can see why they compare him to Michael Jordan, the way he plays, the fadeaways, just the creativity, just getting to the bucket every single time at will whenever he wants, gets the easy dunk, the easy lay-in, just like Jordan used to do. So I could see why. My thing is, if Anthony Edwards and Minnesota end up winning the NBA championship, then we have some real consideration. You know, one championship, he's only, 22, 23 years old? Like, that would be crazy. So shout out to Anthony Edwards. Nothing but love for him. You know, a lot of talent. The future's bright for that young man. But right now, the Mavs, they're a team where Kyrie is going to have to go crazy, and obviously Luka and the role players for the Dallas Mavericks. But right now, I'm leaning more towards Minnesota in about 6 or 7 games. Something's telling me, my gut is telling me that the Mavs, I don't know. I just don't know who's going to guard Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. Like, those guys, they're going to get the extra rebounds, the boards. I don't know. If Dallas comes up with an excellent game plan, you never know. And obviously, if Kyrie's going to score 30-plus points a game, it's a wrap. Obviously, that's what Kyrie needs to do, so I can't wait for this matchup. I'm saying Minnesota right now, and then obviously my Indiana Pacers versus the Boston Celtics. I'm telling you, I feel way more confident right now with the Pacers than I did last series against the Knicks. I just seen Boston play. They're really inconsistent. They got a number 1 seed, had a great regular season. Come playoff, they're just really inconsistent. That's their MO for the Boston Celtics. Inconsistency, and in life, if you're very inconsistent, you're just not going to go anywhere. And I'm looking at Boston and realizing, man, they had to play Miami and Cleveland to get where they're at. The easiest walkthrough right now that I've ever seen in NBA playoff history. It's like, wow, they just literally walked through, took them 5 games apiece. They've had so much rest. There's no excuse for Boston. If Boston loses against the Indiana Pacers, which I do think could very well happen, I think it's it. That's over in Boston. We won't see a championship in Boston in the next decade if they end up losing this. They have a stacked roster. There's no excuse. Tatum needs to keep showing up. Tatum needs to score 30-plus points a game, and that's why I said Tyrese Halliburton's going to have to elevate his game. He's going to have to score 30-plus. He's going to have to go match for match with Jason Tatum. If the Pacers want to win this series, it's going to be because of Tyrese Halliburton putting up 30-plus points and Miles Turner playing like a hungry dog. That's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to get the extra boards. You're going to have to do the extra stuff, extra mile. That's what you're going to have to do if you're the Indiana Pacers. But right now, I'm going Pacers in 7, baby. Take off Indiana Pacers. It's the Klein with Cam show. Let's go!